We are on the air every Saturday from noon to 1 to talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to help you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. We have another great show for you today. It's a full-packed house here in the studio. Joining me in a few minutes will be Andy Johnson, who's a volunteer. No, you are the community outreach coordinator and volunteer recruiter.
That's the one.
Andy Johnson. And we've got volunteer dog trainer Katy Shannon.
Yes.
Yep. And we've got graduate Susan Smith, who is here, and she brought along her assistant dog named Humphrey. And, yep, he knows his name. I saw him look at me. All right. And they're here to talk about the life-changing role of assistance dogs from Helping Paws, a local nonprofit in Eden Prairie, serving veterans and first responders with service-related PTSD and those with physical disabilities. Helping Paws trains and places assistance dogs across Minnesota and the upper Midwest. As one of only 4 Assistance Dogs International accredited organizations in all of Minnesota, Helping Paws has been serving our community for almost 40 years. And you'll enjoy listening to my conversation today with Andy Johnson, Katy Shannon, and Susan Smith, and Humphrey, if he says anything. So we'll keep you posted there. I want to thank all of you that are listening to the show and leave messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and we welcome your comments, questions, and topics for future shows. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on our radio show, please call or text us at 612-999-3426. You can also contact us on our website at livinghealthyradio.com. There you can find information about upcoming guests as well as listen to our previous shows. We look forward to hearing from you. And we are adding new listeners to the show each week, not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. You can find podcasts for all of our radio shows on the AM 950 radio website. And we can also be found on your favorite streaming service, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and many others. You can also watch our broadcast on YouTube or watch us live on the radio station's Facebook page at AM 950 Radio. If you have a question for us today, there are 2 ways to reach us. First, by calling the AM 950 radio station, and our friendly show engineer, Adam, will get your call on the air. Our phone number is 952-946-6205. Or you can text us your questions at 612-999-3426. Now, don't worry. If you missed our contact numbers, I'll repeat them throughout the show. All right. I am so excited to welcome my guests for today's show. Again, we've got Andy Johnson, Community Outreach Coordinator and Volunteer Recruiter, Volunteer Dog Trainer Katy Shannon, and graduate Susan Smith, a graduate. Doesn't that feel good to hear that?
It certainly does.
All right. Well, before we get into conversation about Helping Paws, the audience loves to know about you guys, a little bit about your background. So let's start with Andy, and just tell us a little bit about your background, Andy.
Sure. Name is Andy Johnson. Like you heard, I'm the community outreach organizer and volunteer recruiter here with Helping Paws. I've been in the organization just since this last July, and it has been a whirlwind of learning all kinds of different things, meeting wonderful people, and seeing how we can do our best to change lives. I've noticed really quickly in this world that no 2 paths are exactly the same in this line of work. Like I did some time in jewelry sales, of all things, back in school. Did some role in education, and all those skills then come together here. But this is also it's been pleasant to see that all those skills come together in my favorite place to have ever worked, and that includes a job in high school that had all the free ice cream I could eat. So this is a wonderful place to be.
This must be a really good job then.
I would say so. Probably better for the waistline too.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's go.
I'm Katy Shannon. Yeah. And I have been with Helping Paws for about 13 years. It all started when I saw a demonstration at the state fair, and I saw these dogs working and doing incredible things, and I said, I want to do that sometime. So when I retired, I asked husband if it would be okay if we had another dog, and we already had 2. One was a rescue from the Animal Humane Society that was only supposed to live about 6 months because he had a double heart murmur. And husband said, I think we should wait. I called Helping Paws. And 2 weeks later, I said, John, they have a puppy for us. So he wrote an email to the family. Your mother asked if we could have another dog. I said no. Introducing Ada with a picture of the puppy. So I have been in met some wonderful people and had such wonderful opportunities, including this morning whelping a bunch of puppies. And so I came here on the fly, and it was exactly what I would love to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how many puppies were a part of that letter?
Ooh, not too sure yet.
Yeah, we can't share yet, just to make sure they are all good and healthy.
Good,
so
I got you.
That'll come.
That makes sense.
I have trained 4 dogs. I'm on my 4th dog.
Wow, fantastic. And how long have you been with Helping Paws?
About 13 years.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, she ranks me.
I was going to say, you were a child when she started.
Why do you think I try to hang out with him? Learn everything I can.
Andy's a wonderful new addition.
Yeah, fantastic. All right.
So I was an RN, specialized in intensive care. I've worked every unit in the hospital.
Okay, you're Susan.
I'm Susan.
Yes.
And this is my partner, Humphrey. Humphrey's 5 years old. We've been partnered almost 3 years. I suffered an injury at work back in 1993, which left me disabled and needed a wheelchair. I had a cousin on my husband's side that actually was a breeding family for Helping Paws. I knew nothing about assistance dogs except for those for the blind. That's back in the 90s. That's all you heard about.
Right.
So he told me about them, sent in my application, and I received my first service dog in 2005. So I've been with the organization for over 20
years.
20 years. Humphrey is my 3rd. I had Caliber, which was a black lab trained by the Mekishes. Then I received Joe. He was a golden retriever trained by a gentleman named Jay Heath, who now has trained over 10 dogs for the organization, plus has helped bring puppies into the world for the organization. And then I received Humphrey almost 3 years ago from 2 wonderful people, Jordy and Beth. They've actually become kind of part of the family. It's been just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And so because of Helping Paws, I can do things independently and don't need a human. To walk into your building, if I didn't have Humphrey, I would have had to have waited for Andy to come and help me get in. Besides being physically disabled, I have visual issues, and so I see double, and I walk into everything, and I lose spatial perception, and Humphrey doesn't. So besides all the physical things he helps me with, he helps me get through environments safely without injuring myself, and I don't need a human.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I'm just curious. We'll go off script here, which is what I do all the time. So when you had your injury, did the therapists or clinicians say, "Hey, you'd be a good candidate for an assistant dog"?
No.
Okay, so that wasn't really brought up as part of a long-term, ongoing support for you.
It's really not discussed often,
right,
by the medical community. It's not something they're truly aware of.
Right.
Which is one reason Andy and I go out and speak so much to the public. Part of my journey, Helping Paws has given me amazing gifts that I could never have gotten without them. And one of my first experiences with my very first service dog, I was at Mall of America. And for the first time in years, I could take my wheelchair and I could go outside the store and window shop by myself without my family. And this gentleman came up to me and he says, you're doing really, really well. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And he's like, I've been watching you. And I thought, oh, okay, a little creepy, but that's okay. Thank you. And as he started to talk, I realized he thinks I'm blind, that this is, he doesn't understand I'm physically
associating your dog,
my dog
with being blind.
But in his defense, I only knew about guide dogs until I found out about Helping Paws. And so it was after that I started volunteering for Helping Paws to go out and speak to organizations, groups, businesses, anybody that wanted to hear.
Right.
Because it can help somebody that needs a dog, and then the education helps other teams out in public so that people understand the roles of assistance dogs and all that they can do.
Wow. Okay, and so you first became a graduate with a dog how many years ago?
2005 is when I got Caliber.
Over 20 years ago.
Yep,
wow.
21 years ago.
Unbelievable. That's fantastic.
And
Humphrey's your third dog.
He's my third one,
Wow.
yes.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. Where it's time for a short break, so we'll be right back to talk further about Helping Paws, and we'll be talking with Andy Johnson and Dog Trainer Katy Shannon and graduate Susan Smith, and they're talking about the life-changing role of assistance dogs from Helping Paws, a local nonprofit here in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Hi, I'm Mary T. Caring for others runs deep in my family. My grandmother, Rosa, was a nurse who cared for people in their homes more than a century ago. Inspired by her compassion, my mother, Margaret, and I founded the Mary T. family of companies nearly 50 years ago. Today, we continue that legacy across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Arizona, providing senior living, assisted living with memory care, home health, hospice care, rental housing, and support for people with disabilities. Each service is personal, creative, and focuses on the unique needs of those we serve. We also believe in joy and community, which is why we opened Crooner Supper Club in Fridley, a place to celebrate life with music, laughter, and connection. At Mary T., we're proud to be a Minnesota family company rooted in compassion, inclusion, and respect, and proud supporters of AM 950 and the values that this station represents. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more.
Congratulations to Mary T., named one of the most admired CEOs of 2026 by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal.
Do you need support living safely and independently in your home? Don't wait until a fall, accident, or unsafe step forces change. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides home safety repairs and mobility modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, helping older adults stay in the homes they love. Offering aging-in-place home modification services like grab bars, railings, slip grips, and ramp installations, your safety and autonomy are their priority. Need safer stairs, porches, or decks? They handle full replacements. They also install fire safety essentials like smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Applications for services run through March 31st, 2026. Once that window closes, you'll have to wait for next year's window to apply again. Don't risk another unsafe day. Let your neighbors help. Apply today at rtmn.org and select Apply for Help. That's rtmn.org and select Apply for Help. Or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota. Safer homes, stronger independence.
For delicious gourmet popcorn, Popped Corn, Popped corn.com has you covered. Popped Corn offers your favorite flavors ready to go. Cheese made with real cheese, their classic mix. More than 80 great flavors. Enjoy featured flavors like Shamrock Caramel and their tasty fudge and nuts. They sell their popcorn in various bag, gift box, and tin sizes, and they ship across the USA. Visit poppedcorn.com and enter in discount code MATT to get 10% off your order. That's discount code MATT at popcorn, Popped corn.com, and make everyone smile.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Andy Johnson, Community Outreach Coordinator and Volunteer Recruiter. And we have Katy Shannon, Volunteer Dog Trainer, and she just finished bringing some dogs into the world.
Right,
here.
some
Wow,
puppies this morning.
All right, and we have Susan Smith, who's a graduate, and she brought along her best buddy, Humphrey. And they are here talking about the life-changing role of assistance dogs from an organization called Helping Paws, a local nonprofit here in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Andy, how can our listeners contact you or your organization if they have questions or want more information?
Well, I'd be glad to tell you. Take a look at our fabulous website, helpingpaws.org. We got all kinds of useful links to both tell our story, donate if you wish. Also, plenty of opportunities to volunteer. A little bit of an explanation there. Fill out general interest, or if you're interested in getting a dog of your own, or even housing one of these dogs while we cover the training. All of that can be found on our website, helpingpaws.org. Or you can also send me an email at ajohnson@helpingpaws.org.
All right, fantastic. And let's make sure that we let people know there is an event on May 17th.
Yes.
We want to encourage people to be a part of and engage with.
Yeah, that is our Paws in Motion, our 5K, coming up May 17th, starting at 8 a.m. over at the Purgatory Creek Park Pavilion right here in Eden Prairie. Come on down, go for a stroll, go for a run, go for a walk, I suppose, or whatever you want to do, be it 2 legs or 4. Families are welcome. Other dogs are welcome, just as long as they get along with the public at large. But come on down for a fabulous day, do a little bit of stroll, and maybe help us raise a little bit of money to put more of these dogs into more folks' homes and help change more lives.
And we'll talk about how that process works with getting dogs in homes. And what time does that start on May 15th?
May 17th.
I'm sorry, May 17th.
That's all right. I'm trying to pass the test here. May 17th should begin at 8 a.m.
Okay, bright and early, 8 a.m. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But that'll go through most of the day there. So early bird special, come on down.
All right. Well, Andy, tell us about the history and background of Helping Paws.
Sure thing. Well, like Susan said before the break, you think back to maybe 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago, and you saw somebody out with a working dog. You immediately assume, that must be a guide dog for somebody who's blind or hard of sight, or they're deaf, or they're hard of hearing. That's just, I shouldn't say just, but the role guide dog is kind of what came to mind. Well, as the years have gone on, especially with the global war on terror starting in the early 2000s, and our growing understanding of PTSD, the role of assistance dogs has changed, become much more common in the community, much better understood, and we ourselves have been part of that journey. Our origin was in 1985 at the University of Minnesota. I got it right here, make sure I don't mispronounce it. University of Minnesota Center for the Study of Animal-Human Relationships and the Environment, the SenShare program. And after 3 years there with the University of Minnesota, we found that these dogs can do an awful lot more than only playing the role of a guide dog. Well, we spun off as a separate nonprofit in 1988, moved to Hopkins, and about 2 years ago now, moved to our new location here in Eden Prairie. We're actually getting a second location in that same office park later this coming week. So as you can we've been still growing, adding new staff and adding new programming. It was in 2014 we also added our program for vets and first responders with service-related PTSD, training our dogs in another regimen of skills and cues and expertise in order to be able to help somebody living with PTSD have a sense of their life back, to be able to go out again into public. All of our dogs receive training both for that physical disability role and for the PTSD role, and you're talking somewhere between 60 to as much as 75, nearly 80 separate cues over the course of about 2.5 to 3 years of training for these dogs. You're talking a dog with a vocabulary of a clever toddler and able to reliably carry these things out. We're not also just talking about the training. We have a demeanor that we need to keep an eye with these dogs. So to partner somebody with Susan, with Humphrey here, we need to make sure that we have the right set of skills in like a medical sense, yes. But this is bigger than the sum of their parts. We know how important it is to have that really solid connection of personalities between these two. And that nearly 40 years, we've learned a lot. We try to keep that growth mindset in place. Being one of only 4 members of Assistance Dogs International here in Minnesota, they really put you through the 3rd degree to get that kind of approval, but we try to be the best we can.
Mm-hmm. So there is some type of accreditation or licensing that goes into being a part of that
yes.
elite group.
And it's the gold standard, internationally recognized. There are members all over the world. Like I said, only one of 4 here in Minnesota. It used to be only 2, but we had 2 new partners join us. And in doing so, that provides us not only access to some of the best training methodologies that are out there, best studies, and how are these dogs raised, how do they grow, how do they change, how can we get them best connected to the right people and have a higher rate of success. And that includes things like a behavior checklist. So we can see, yes, the dog knows the skills, but should a distraction occur, what's this dog's energy? Are they nervous? Are they excited? What are exactly we seeing here? So it provides us a host of different tools as well as access to some of the best dog genetics in the whole of the United States. Before these dogs are even born, you're looking at some of the best of our team matched with the best of the other golden retrievers or labs that are here in the United States. We make a point of having them, like Katy said, be whelped, meaning puppies being born, in a host home, have them grow up in that host home for that 2.5 to 3 years while our professional trainers do the training for you. So that way the dog's getting as much enrichment as we can provide for them and growing up in the in-home environment. It's the gold standard of training right here, and it's gold standard of the assistance dogs world. We're very proud to be part of it. It's worth the investment. It's worth the time. And we think the results speak for themselves. Where some other organizations maybe struggle to get even half of their dogs to successfully graduate and be placed, we're up closer to 70%. And that is in no small part due to this breeding, yes, but also to the exquisite volunteers that we have.
So if someone wants to volunteer, because we've got an amazing audience, people are just, they want to give, they want to help support great organizations. What are the various volunteer opportunities that Helping Paws has for people?
Oh, we got a number of them. It can be something as easy as coming on down to our dog training school, our Blue Coat Academy, walking dogs for maybe 1 hour, 1 day a week, just continue, on and on and on. We got other folks who come 3 days a week, maybe 2.5 hours, so, a little variety in the scheduling there. We have others who drive what we call our doggy Uber, a van that we can use to pick up or drop off dogs to and from class or other events. We have folks who come to things like our 5K, our Paws in Motion, again, May 17th, 8 a.m., Purgatory Creek Park here in Eden Prairie. We got folks who help us run those events. But the bread and butter, the folks who really make a serious difference for us, are those who volunteer to be that host home. So the dog can stay in that in-home environment. They come to class 3 days a week with us. Again, we cover all that training with our professional trainers. You just provide that dog that loving, caring environment for it to grow up in. Or somebody like Katy Shannon here, who's actually gone one step further. She's a volunteer dog trainer, so the dog stays with her in the home, but she herself is the one who does the training. About 20, 30 minutes here, 40 minutes there. We couldn't do it without them.
Oh, fantastic. There's so much more to talk about here. Time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Andy Johnson, Community Outreach Coordinator and Volunteer Recruiter, and Katy Shannon, Volunteer Dog Trainer, and Susan Smith, graduate with her dog Humphrey. And they're here talking about the life-changing role of assistance dogs from Helping Paws, a local nonprofit in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are our business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Located just north of 50th and France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat, is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity and styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
Winter reading, losing yourself under a blanket with the fireplace blazing away while submerging yourself in a book and trying to finish just one more page? Winter nights are the perfect time to read, and that's where Next Chapter Booksellers can help. They're independently owned and have all the bestsellers and new releases. Not sure what to get? Their friendly booksellers are great at recommendations. That's your winter reading headquarters. Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Saturday.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Andy Johnson, Community Outreach Coordinator and Volunteer Recruiter, and Katy Shannon, Volunteer Dog Trainer, who will talk next here about her role. And we've got Susan Smith, who's a graduate, and she brought along her dog, Humphrey. And we are all talking about the life-changing role of assistance dogs from Helping Paws, a local nonprofit in Eden Prairie. Before we return to our conversation with the folks here from Helping Paws, I want to mention this radio show is brought to you in part each week by Minnesota Hospice. Minnesota Hospice is an independent, locally owned medical practice serving our Twin Cities communities with comprehensive end-of-life health care. The team at Minnesota Hospice provides patients and family members with award-winning end-of-life healthcare services. You may not be aware that hospice brings compassionate medical, social, emotional, and spiritual services right to your home with typically no cost to you or your family. Please do not wait to learn how hospice care can benefit you and your loved ones. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support, please contact the compassionate team of experts at Minnesota Hospice. They are available to answer your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by a registered nurse. Their phone number is 952-898-1022, or visit them online at minnesotahospice.com. All right, let's return to our conversation. Andy, if our audience has questions, wants more information, may want to volunteer, what's the best way to contact you guys?
Well, once again, the best way I would say is to check out our fabulous website, helpingpaws.org. You can find information on our story, numerous volunteer opportunities, reach on out to get involved, or to take a look at possibly donating. Being a local nonprofit, we can't do it without you guys, be it in volunteering, be it in generous donations. It all makes a difference. It makes a difference in lives of those living with service-related PTSD or those with a physical disability. We'd also love to give you a complimentary tour of our location right here in Eden Prairie. For something like that or other questions, reach out to my own email address, ajohnson@helpingpaws.org.
All right. And if you have a question for us, folks, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. All right. Well, we've talked about you guys, talked about the organization, the benefits. I want to get more into the benefits, but let's talk about volunteer. Talk about your job and the opportunities for people to do what you do, which sounds like a fascinating thing.
It's a wonderful program. I can't begin to tell you how much I have learned and how important the friendships that I have gained has meant to me. When you are a volunteer with taking a puppy. You get that puppy at around 8 weeks old. In the past, they came from a caretaker home where their job was simply to keep the dog healthy and alive. Mm-hmm. That has changed dramatically as we have learned so much more about puppy brains. And so these puppies that were born today, by next week, will already be looking at different textures in their whelping box. Over the next few months, they'll be introduced to many different sounds. The thing in a swimming pool, we put those as little speed bumps under to get them walking better. We're working on making sure they're used to having a collar and a leash. They'll be familiarized with a crate, which we never used to do so early. We introduce them to clicker training, and so the puppy at 8 weeks will know basically how to watch you, how to sit on command, how to drop on command. And it's just a wonderful start that we didn't have in the past. My first dog, Ada, went to a gentleman in Red Wing who had MS. And she went to him in the summer, and in the fall we have what's called graduation, and it's a time to celebrate the dogs that have been matched. And on stage, he gave the story that summer he had fallen in his bathroom on the cold tile. He asked Ada to go get the phone. Ada got the phone and brought it to him. He dialed 911. He asked Ada to get the blanket. Ada brought the blanket to him to keep him warm, because with MS, keeping your temperature correct is difficult. She laid beside him to keep him warm and safe. So people often say, well, you're going to be training that dog for 2.5 years. How can you give it up?
Right.
And then you hear stories like this, or you see how Humphrey works for Susan, and you say, how can I not do this and have a part? My next 2 dogs were selected as breeding females. So we've had 4 litters and 26 puppies that we've put into the program.
That's a lot of birthdays to remember.
A lot of birthdays, and ever since I was very young, I wanted to be a veterinarian. And I think a lot of people out there have had childhood dreams of being a veterinarian. Well, that puts it right there for you. Now, the latest dog I have, Vannon, is being trained, and he has learned many obedience skills, manners in a home. If there would be a match with a person with PTSD, they learn to speak on command, so that if the veteran is going into a dark space, the dog can bark, can turn on the light switch, and then walk beside the person into the room, so that there's this comfort level. Right now, if you take a puppy at 8 weeks, you can be a volunteer dog trainer where you go to class once a week. You learn about a specific skill or 2 or 3, and you practice those in your home for
with
that
the dog.
week. With the dog,
yeah.
Absolutely. And as they get a little older, you go out in public and see if they can perform those skills. We also offer a host family home where you take the puppy and you don't personally do the training, but you are teaching them manners in the home. You are showing them what a home life is like. And then you go to class 3 times a week about. And if you aren't able to take them, we have the dog Uber that Andy had already explained a little bit about, and they'll pick them up and take them to school and then bring them home. It's just like kindergarten. It's wonderful. So there's many different opportunities to be as involved as you wish to be, but I can't begin to tell you how much joy it can bring to your life. I have good friends that we call ourselves the underdogs, because after school we would go to a bar and grill, and the dogs would have to sit under the table, because that is a skill they must know, to just chill. And we would maybe invite a little bit and celebrate. And so we became the underdogs. And it's been 13 years, and we still get together. So you can make some wonderful friendships.
Yeah. Okay, you mentioned the word matching. Would you tell us about the matching process that goes into this?
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's amazing. Or maybe Susan wants to talk, because she's been through it. Yes.
She's been matched.
She's been matched, and she can tell you exactly how it all happens.
Okay, so is there anything in terms of the volunteering side? Because it may be a little bit complicated for people to know. There's just different levels of volunteers.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the most involved, if you really want to be, would be a volunteer dog trainer, where you keep the dog for 2.5 years and you do the training. You are responsible for the trainer. That happens with a class once a week.
Okay.
Next step down would be being a host home, where you have the dog in your home for that 2.5 to 3 years, but you aren't responsible for the training.
Okay.
The professional trainers at our training center would do the training for you.
Got it. You just drop the dog off 3 days a week, like you're dropping the kids off at school in the morning, pick them up in the afternoon. We try to work with whatever 3 days a week are best for you. And in both cases, the dog comes in about 8, maybe 10 weeks of age, usually pretty reliably house-trained, usually pretty reliably able to sleep through the night in the crate. We get you all the expertise, skills, kit that you could possibly need for it. Like Katy said, we got the doggy Uber if you can't drive. We have a discount on the food for you. We take care of all the major vet bills. I don't think you can have an easier dog than with us.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's wonderful.
You should be flooded with people asking to be a host.
Well, with
website
all the
again is helpingpaws.org.
Yeah, right.
And with all our new puppies that have come, we've had a litter of 10 a couple weeks ago, and now another big litter, and we have another on the way next month. So we have puppies that are going to be needing homes.
Yes. Right.
So sign up, people.
Right. Well, let's got a couple more minutes here. Let's start our conversation then, Katy, with you. So about what it's like to be a graduate.
Well, one thing.
Or I'm sorry,
Susan.
Susan.
That's okay. One thing Andy hasn't touched on that I think is really important is people always ask me, how do you get an assistance dog? Or you see things on social media where people will be asking. Humphrey and his friends, when they are done with training, are valued at over $35,000. They are all purebred golden retrievers or purebred Labrador retrievers. Due to the intense training they go through with our professionals, all that they learn, which is over 70 cue words, they are very, very valuable. As somebody who is disabled, I could not afford $35,000. I would never have a dog. If you pulled out your phone and asked Google how much is a service dog in our area to buy, you're looking at $10,000 to $20,000. Those dogs usually are not trained either for 2.5 years. They do not know all the cue words Humphrey does. Because of Helping Paws nonprofit, they're a nonprofit. They receive no state or federal funding. They tirelessly fundraise. They try to meet as many people as they can to inform them of all the good that they do. They're amazing. My fee for Humphrey and all the equipment I need, so his special leather leash, his pack, his leader, the special customized leash for my wheelchair, the special custom adapter that we have a mechanical engineer that makes for everyone's equipment, his first bag of dog food, his heart and flea tick meds for his first year, my fee is $400. And if someone can't afford $400, there are sponsors and donors that will pay that. So no one is ever denied a dog from Helping Paws because of financial reasons. They won't allow that to happen. Yeah. And so because of that, so many people like myself received the help that would not be available if I had to write a check for $35,000.
Right. And so in a nutshell, as we talked at the commercial break, Humphrey, all the dogs you've had over 20 years have changed your life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Almost night and day.
I can drive due to wearing glasses, and they can adjust that when I sit. When I stand, because I spent 25 years completely in a wheelchair and in bed about 20 hours a day, when I stand up, now that I've relearned to walk, my brain doesn't understand what we're doing. And I have double vision they can't correct when I stand, and I lose spatial perception. So I could not go out the front door of my house past where I could feel the sides of the house or I could count the steps. I need a human.
Wow. Hold that thought.
Yep.
We're here for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Andy Johnson Katy Shannon and Susan Smith and Humphrey, and they're here talking about the great work that Helping Paws is doing in Minnesota. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Step into Forts, a fort-building wonderland at Children's Theater Company, only through April 5th. Theatrical elements, evolving light and soundscapes, and towers of cardboard boxes set the scene for creative play. Build the tallest fort, the longest fort, or tons of cozy little forts. Design a castle or a neighborhood. Your imagination leads the way as you play freely and create shared stories together in real life. Forts at CTC only through April 5th. Spring break weekdays available. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
Rebuilding Together Minnesota delivers critical home repairs and safety modifications to low-income Minnesotans, because everyone deserves a safe place to live, not just those who can afford it. If you've been putting off repairs because the cost feels impossible, know this: their services come at no cost to homeowners. They focus on safe and healthy home solutions that keep older adults independent, support families, and strengthen entire neighborhoods. And there's no catch. Apply during their application window, open January 1st through March 31st, 2026, to be considered for services. When one neighbor struggles, it impacts us all. Turn to Rebuilding Together Minnesota if you need support with critical repairs or safety modifications on your home. Apply now at rtmn.org and select Apply for help. Or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. I've been telling you about Snap Construction, the company AM 950 trusts for all roofing and siding needs. Now that spring is here and summer is around the corner, now is a great time to find out why AM 950 trusts Snap Construction. Ryan, the owner, and his team at Snap Construction have been great to work with, and they have enjoyed working with our listeners.
Hi, this is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners at AM 950. What a great group of people and a great radio station. I personally want to thank all the listeners that we've had the opportunity to work with. At Snap Construction, we look forward to working with many more of you when it comes to your roofing, siding, windows, and insulation. Don't just take Chad's word for it. Google Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the Twin Cities metro. We led this community with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate. Call today, 612-333-SNAP, 612-333-SNAP, or visit us online, snapconstruction.com.
Well, welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Andy Johnson, Community Outreach Coordinator and Volunteer Recruiter. And we've got Katy Shannon, Volunteer Dog Trainer, who did a great job last segment talking about all the volunteer opportunities. And we have Susan Smith, who's a graduate, here with her dog, Humphrey. And they are talking about the life-changing role of assistance dogs from Helping Paws, a local nonprofit in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. Andy, how can our listeners get a hold of your organization if they want to volunteer or have questions or want more information?
Of course, to volunteer, to apply to have one of our dogs, to donate, or anything else, check out our website, helpingpaws.org. Should give you all the links you need and plenty of opportunities to get in contact with us here on staff. Alternatively, you can send me an email at ajohnson@helpingpaws.org. I always love to give folks a complimentary tour of our facility. They can see the dogs at work and hear our story.
And what a great way to give back. I mean, really, just the work that you guys do, the stories that you've told me and the stories you talked about on the air here, life-changing. I mean, people, again, here we are. Susan, you are living an independent life because of the great care you're given and support by Helping Paws and the dogs that you have had. So, yes. I mean, now you're out speaking, doing speaking engagements along with Andy to help raise awareness.
Exactly.
Which is just fantastic. I'm so proud of you. That's fantastic.
Kindly.
All right. You go to like Vikings games. You travel on the airline. Yeah, you go all over the place, and Humphrey comes right there with you.
Bruno Mars. He's got his ticket for Bruno. Yeah, he told me he wanted. He's seen Paul Simon, Billy Joel, Stevie Nicks. He gets around. And I only can do that because of volunteer dog trainers like Katy that gave him those experiences. Jordy took him everywhere.
Well, it's so great that you accommodate the needs.
I do. I push the button for the Ticketmaster purchase. His paws aren't quite adept at that. So
that's the next set of cues.
That's the next cue. We have to work on that one, though, selectively.
All right. Well, Andy, tell us more. I'm fascinated by this whole matching process. Tell us about that.
Of course. Well, like we were saying, the dogs take about 2.5, close to 3 years to learn the 60 or 70 or more cues that they need to know in that time. Well, that's part of the time, too, is also allow them to grow up, to mature, kind of get out of that last puppy stage. Their dogs get to a point where they're kind of like a middle schooler a little bit, so we got to get that squirreliness out. But, we're paying attention to that demeanor. When these dogs either are with our volunteer trainers like Katy Shannon here, she's taking careful notes on the dog's demeanor. Our professional trainers, when she comes in for class, are taking notes on the dog's skills, its experiences, its expertise. Where is it really showing us it's going to shine the best? Same thing for a host home. You drop the dogs off here at our location for their training. Our professional trainers are not only teaching them the skills and keeping track of where are they really shining the best, but also just their demeanor and disposition. And this is where this starts to go from being a science into being an art. When it comes to the pre-matching, we don't take the attitude of person 1 gets dog A, person 2 gets dog B. That's just a recipe for disaster. What instead we'll do is we'll have our applicants come in, and they get to go through this pre-matching process where they get to meet. We got 3 or 4 dogs here set aside that we think would fit your necessary skills and maybe your personality. Dog 1 comes on out. You get to meet this dog, and, well, I'm going to let Susan take it from there.
So there's a team of instructors there that watch, and if you don't know the cue words, they tell you cue words and what to do and what to show. The dog comes over to you, gets to greet you, and then you start putting them through the cues. There are dogs that, I've gone through this 3 times. There are dogs that have done the cues for me, but they just didn't seem happy about it. Like it was just, they were just doing a job because somebody asked them to pick something up. They picked it up. I have had dogs that took one look at me and just would not do a thing I said. Did not want to.
Does that feel like a rejection?
It does. It does. Because you're trying so hard to impress the dog and the instructors. Right. Like, you're like, please like me. Right. And then for each one of the dogs I've been matched with, truly the dog picks the person. They come out of that kennel, and Humphrey came over to me, and the tail was wagging, the head was in my lap. He rose up and put his paws on my legs, and I was like, oh, you like me. And then we went through all the cues the instructors asked us to do, and one of the last things you do is you put them on the far side of the training room, so they're about 30-plus feet away from you. You then back up, and you have them in a sit-stay. And when you're ready, you tell them to come. Well, Humphrey came so fast that luckily I was standing against the wall because he couldn't put the brakes on and went sliding partway through my legs. And I was like, oh, you really like me. You really like me. And then you wait. That is the hardest part. And you wait because the instructors will get together and they will decide from what they saw, what the dog did, if you matched with the dog or not. Sometimes you don't match and you have to wait for the next time around. I was in the middle of Cub when I got a call from our director of programming.
You remember where you were.
I do. And I wanted Humphrey so badly. There was just something about him. But I also had looked at his brother, and his brother was fantastic. But there was something about Humphrey, and I kept telling myself, I'll be happy with the brother. I'll be happy with the brother. And I just kept telling myself that. And I got the call. I was at the pharmacy in Cub, and I was told I got matched to Humphrey. And I started to cry. The pharmacist came running over and was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, I got Humphrey. Humphrey is now friends with everybody at the pharmacy. They even stock treats for him at the Cub in Elk River. So as Katy brought up a story, it's one that I actually share when I go out and talk to the public. So if I were to meet you in an organization and Andy and I are talking, I always ask, raise your hand if you've ever laid on a bathroom floor for 8 hours waiting for help to come home because you couldn't get up. In 20 years, no one has put their hand up. But when I talk to fellow graduates and people that have disabilities, hands go up all over. Because falling and not being able to get up or get help is part of our world.
Yeah.
These dogs mean I don't have to lay on the ground.
Right.
They can bring me my phone. They're trained for that. They can bring me a blanket. They can bring me a pillow. You know, they, as Katy pointed out, they're taught to turn on lights, and people think that's so cool. It's more than cool. It's life-changing. Right. You're disabled and you get into bed, and maybe you don't have a device to turn off your lights, and getting into bed is really challenging. Right. I don't have to get back out. I can send Humphrey or one of his friends can turn the light off so we can go to sleep. They can do that. All the dropped keys, the shoes you can't reach on the floor. One of the coolest things, I live in a 3-generation home. There's 7 of us in the home. I live with my husband, my daughter, her husband, and their 3 boys. There's a lot of laundry. One of the coolest things these dogs are trained, and people think this is phenomenal, is they can pick up laundry and put it in the hamper. They can also load and unload a front loader, washer, and dryer. Now, while that is a crazy, phenomenal skill that everybody should have a dog that can do that,
right.
For somebody like me,
right.
That's life-changing. It means people that hate doing laundry or don't even think about how challenging laundry can be for somebody, because of these dogs, we can do things like laundry. We can have refrigerators open, cabinets shut, drawers open.
All right.
Endless.
We're going to have to leave it there. We'll have to come back and talk about more stories.
We would love to.
These are great. All right. I want to thank Andy Johnson, Katy Shannon, and Susan Smith and Humphrey for being here to talk about the life-changing role of assistance dogs from Helping Paws, a local nonprofit in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Please contact us with any questions or comments you have regarding today's conversation. You can reach us anytime by voice or text at 612-999-3426. Join us again next Saturday at noon for another broadcast, and thank you for listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. Until next time, choose to live well.